Hi Starseeds, hi Cosmic Beings. My name is Laura from Pleiadian Healer, and welcome to my weekly series, Bringing Heaven onto Earth, Spiritual People in Real Life. Today, I am coming to you with a very special person. Lyra is in Vegas right now. How are you doing, Lyra?
Hi!
So nice to catch up to you finally in person. Lyra and I have actually been following each other on social media, I believe on Instagram, and it's probably been a few years. Lyra is a multidimensional healer who specializes in DNA activation for starseeds. She has the gift of activating people's DNA to awaken them to their own unique psychic abilities and align them with their life mission. So Lyra, that's already like quite a handful here, and I know the entire description you sent me via email when I asked you includes way more than that too, and I know there's like a lot of interesting stuff here with star families and extraterrestrial contact and all of that. Let's just start off with like the regular question I ask. How did you get started on your spiritual journey? Was there a triggering event or a year or a person that had any influence on this?
Yes, so I had a crazy experience in 2016 that just totally changed my life forever. And that was when I was living in Florida at the time. And I had just watched the movie Interstellar the night before, which had got me thinking about extraterrestrials and things like that. And so the next night, it was October 13th, 2016. I remember the date. And me and my friend were driving home from this Halloween event that we went to, and it was about 2:30 in the morning, and we were talking about aliens and UFOs all night and just the possibility of them existing. And I said to him out loud on the drive home, you know what? I want to see a UFO. And then maybe about 10 minutes later, this really bright star showed up, and it was getting like lower and lower. And as we were driving back to his house, I was watching it, and then it got so low that I thought it was a plane. And then I was like, oh my God, this plane is going to crash on the side of the road. I know there's not an airport in those woods, and like where my friend lives is in the woods, like in the middle of nowhere. And it was just us on the road at 2:30 in the morning, and I was like joking. I still was not believing what I was seeing. And so I pointed it out to him, and I was just like, oh, look, a UFO. And as I say that, we drive past this clearing. It was like fields, like in the middle of the woods, where this huge craft had landed and was hovering about 15 feet above the ground, and it was maybe like 200 feet away from us. And when I was joking, I was like, oh, look, a UFO. He was just like, oh, that's just a plane. And that's when I saw this thing land, and I was like, that is not a fucking plane. That's literally a UFO. And I was like, oh my God, look. And so he did like a double take, and then I started screaming and he started screaming, and it was like something out of a movie. It was hilarious. And I just could not believe that they heard me when I said I wanted to see a UFO, and they showed themselves to us. And that was the first night that kind of started me on this crazy, amazing extraterrestrial starseed journey that I'm still on now. And I still keep very close contact with those beings and many others today.
Wow, that is a crazy story, huh? So just wondering, you said October 13th or October 30th?
13th.
Okay, so I'm just adding the numbers here. 4 plus 10, 14, 1 plus 4. So it's like number 5.
It should be 23, right?
Yeah, 2 plus 3 is 2 plus 3 is 5. Yeah.
Right, but 23 is a very significant number for me, and I had seen that number over and over and over and over again whenever these beings were close to me, and that was kind of like the first time that I had seen it was when that happened.
Okay, that's interesting. Have you ever channeled or like checked your life path number?
It's 4.
Okay, because my life path number is 5.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. Really interesting. 2 plus 3. So it sounds like instant manifestation.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was in 2016, and I know you're like younger than me and everything, and like you weren't like freaked out or anything, it seems like.
Oh no, I was absolutely terrified. I could not sleep for about 3 weeks. Yeah, it took me a very long time to actually comprehend what had happened. And then after a couple weeks, I decided to ask my friend if he would be willing to go back to that spot with me so we could just kind of figure out like what happened, why they landed there, how they heard me say that. And when we went back to that spot in the woods, we actually ended up meeting with these beings in person. They showed up right when we got there. They already knew that we were going to be there. And this had been an ongoing thing where we would go back to the woods and meet with these beings. And we also ended up having encounters with many different interdimensional beings and other UFOs, and there was definitely a portal there that had been opened, and we went back there probably about a good 10 times over the next few months, and created a very, or at least I created a very strong connection with these tall white Zeta beings in particular.
Okay, I was about to ask you, so those were Zetas?
Yes.
Like Zeta Grays or Zeta Reticuli?
Yeah, Zeta, well, what's the difference?
So the Zeta, the Zeta Reticuli are the ones that are usually smaller, and they're the ones that work with the, supposedly, I'm probably going to blend this word out too, and like the abductions that are more like the negative ones, the negative connotation, you know, like the government-sponsored ones, and then the Zeta Grays are like the taller ones, that are usually like the other abductions too, that usually, you know, are there to like advance their star seeds. Like they also implant chips, but not chips that lower your vibration, but the ones that raise your vibration.
Okay, yeah. Definitely the tall Zeta Grays.
The Zeta, okay. So you didn't like get the Zeta Gray, but just Zetas. Okay. Well, maybe there are other ones. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I have also had a lot of experiences with the shorter Zeta Reticuli beings as well, but I've never had a negative experience with them. Actually, one time the smaller Zeta beings had taken me to Zeta Reticuli and showed me their planet, and I got introduced to like all of these like little adorable Zeta Grays, and they were very, very loving to me.
What planet are they from?
That's a hard question to answer. Well, are you talking about the small ones when I went to?
Both. I don't know. Any. Yeah. Whatever you got.
So the taller ones, or the one that I had the most contact with, which is a long story. He's actually my twin flame. He his ship is around Arcturus, and he like works with the Arcturians. And then the smaller ones had taken me to the Zeta Reticuli planet.
Huh, okay. So, okay, sorry, I'm trying to, because you just had mentioned, do you want to mention what part of Florida it was in? Or was it in Florida, or was it somewhere else?
It was in Florida.
Okay.
It was in St. Cloud, Florida.
St. Cloud?
Yeah.
Like the cloud in the sky?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool. And then your friend, was it a guy or a girl?
It's a guy.
He never felt like activated by that, or?
No, he definitely got very activated from that experience as well, and that also started him on his whole ascension journey. But he is not as closely connected to extraterrestrials as I am. He has a bit of a different life mission.
Okay, cool. So I know this all leads into what you're currently doing, and like, what exactly do you do? Like, what does a session with you look like?
So I am a multidimensional healer, and I specialize in DNA activation for starseeds. And basically, I'm still trying to understand it myself because I feel like this is just a gift that I kind of like came into, and I just know I'm a very clear channel, and I have the ability to activate other people's DNA. And what that means is when people get sessions with me, I'm able to, with my contacts that I have and being a clear channel, I'm able to connect people to their star families and open up those lines of communication so they are actually able to communicate with extraterrestrial beings as well. And also open them up to their own unique psychic abilities and gifts, and remember why they're here on this planet and what their mission is.
Okay, so are you working with the crown chakra and the soul star chakra, or do you just not? Okay, so you do associate with chakras?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I don't know if I read this on your website or if I read this in one of your posts, but didn't you, like, wasn't there a pet or something that you healed?
My dog had cancer, and this was a long time ago, quite a few years ago, before I even had this experience or knew anything about healing. He had a tumor, and we had taken him to the vet, and they had given him this medication, and it wasn't working, and he wasn't doing so well. And I had just intuitively got this information to channel this energy through my crown chakra and through my heart, out my hands, into his tumor. And after doing that for a few minutes a day for a couple of weeks, it completely just vanished. And he lived to be 18.
Wow, that's really powerful. So you've always kind of been that healer, even before you considered yourself that.
Yeah, I guess that ability was always there. I just didn't know too much about it.
Yeah, that's really powerful. So when a person has a session with you, are they all remote or in person? How do they work?
All of my sessions are remote healings. What I usually do is I will video chat with someone for a few minutes and just kind of talk about where they're at on their spiritual journey, why they were drawn to me, what they want to get out of the session. And then we'll disconnect. I'll send them some high vibrational music to listen to while I work, and then we'll reconnect afterwards, and I'll ask them about their experience, and then I'll tell them what I saw, and it's usually really amazing and beautiful and life-changing.
And how long are these sessions? Like, what's the length? Or are they individually designed. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, so I usually go based on the person, but most of them are around 45 minutes to an hour with us like talking on the phone and everything.
Okay. And did you receive any feedback? Like people who, I don't know, do they come to you with a certain issue or because they want to know about their origins? Or like where people, I don't know, who were anxious came to you and then you received a feedback like months later in regards to your session? Can you share anything with that?
Yeah, so most of the people that are drawn to me are starseeds who are looking to remember their cosmic origins and connect with their star family and spirit guides and everything like that, and just kind of get a sense of why they're here and what their purpose is. And I've always had really, really amazing, beautiful experiences with sessions with people. They're equally as beautiful and amazing for me as they are for the person that I'm working on. And so it's always very interesting what comes up, and it's very rewarding to have these people that I work on come to me after the session and tell me how their life has changed. And these activations, sometimes people don't feel anything during the session, but they'll feel it afterwards, maybe a few days afterwards. So they'll notice huge changes in their life start to happen just a couple weeks afterwards. And it's like all those blocks that were blocking them from what they really want to be manifesting and what they were maybe afraid of doing are just gone, and they see themselves finally moving forward and getting what they want and not being as scared to go for it, and just having clarity on what they want their life to look like and what they want to be doing, as well as oh, now I can see auras and like things like that. It's really, really cool. And a lot of people have had I would say 90% of the people that I've worked on have had some sort of extraterrestrial contact after I've worked on them, whether it be through a dream state or out-of-body experience or actually physically seeing a UFO in the sky. So it's very rewarding and amazing for me to hear those stories afterwards.
What's the story that really blew you away, or is something you want to share, like with your clients? I know we'll get to your stories too.
One that happened fairly recently, actually. This girl came to me and wanted a session, and she said she really wants to connect with her star family, and she feels like she's ready, but she doesn't even know if she has a star family or if she even is a starseed. And I could tell that she was. And so I said, okay, we're going to go ahead and do the session, but don't have any expectations. We'll see what happens. If it's the right time for them to reach out to you, then they will. And so we did the session. I got taken on this amazing astral journey where I got to go on a ship with this girl that I was working on, and her Syrian star family showed up immediately, and they were all just like surrounding her, and I felt so much love. And it was like all these really interesting looking beings that I had never even seen before, like different types of aquatic beings. And so when we finished the session and I called her back and I said, how was your experience? And she was like, that was beautiful. I could feel my whole body tingling, and I felt a presence. But I'm still not sure if it was my star family or if they came through. So then I shared what I had seen, and she's like, oh, that's really awesome. I hope I get to experience that soon too. And I'm like, I'm sure you will. So then she goes to sleep that night, and she got taken on this beautiful astral experience where her whole Syrian star family came to her and they introduced themselves. And she had also seen the same aquatic being that I had described. And she was so thankful that I was able to open up those lines of communication for her. And she was like, wow, like now I know that that was real and I know that they're here with me. And she's had multiple dreams with them since then.
So like really strong on that astral travel, like dreamscape connection. Yeah. That's really nice. That's really beautiful. I'm actually not sure. I'm trying to remember if I ever had like dreams where that happened to me. I think most of them actually happened when I was like really tapping into that through meditation and everything. But yeah, that's really interesting. So what a huge part of your healing is DNA. And I'm not sure how much you can share on that, but when I just recently started tapping into something called cosmic DNA. And it was so interesting because I hadn't really channeled anything on that before, but basically I was seeing different, the junk part of your DNA, and the cosmic DNA is a huge part of what scientists label junk DNA. Have you ever heard of cosmic DNA, or like what is your intake on the DNA? Like how do you heal DNA? Maybe you can explain that.
Yeah, so I've definitely heard of the junk DNA as well, and I believe that it's not junk DNA at all. It's actually where all of our superpowers lie. So that's basically what I do during the sessions is I allow these higher dimensional beings to channel these light codes through me that help to activate this junk DNA and help that person awaken to their unique superpowers. But I'm still learning exactly the science behind how it all works, because all I really know right now is I have this ability to do that, but I'm still trying to find out exactly what that means and what it does.
To be honest with you, I think it's something that's really coming up now, like within the next few years. And I believe the reason people were unable to really tap into that definitely has to do, with this huge awakening, and because the information really wasn't available to us because it's so potent that we weren't really ready for that. Let's put it that way. I had a session, an interview with a different person who's going to be aired mid-May. But basically what he said is, like, if humans can't even comprehend the concept of regular DNA, how are they going to comprehend the concept of that junk DNA? You know what I mean? Like the entire DNA testing that's done by all these companies where they basically grab, through your hair and everything, the DNA, and basically have a lot of information about you, which people don't even realize, because they just want to know, or am I 5% Irish or 6% Jewish? Do you know what I mean? Like the DNA testing, which is like the biggest scam ever, because basically, in my opinion, why they're offering it at such an affordable price for the general public, and why they're, kind of putting that purpose behind it, or false purpose behind it. Like, wouldn't it be cool for you to know that you're 50% African American, but also like Jewish and Irish, which you didn't know at all? Like all of that for me is complete rubbish, because that doesn't really matter at all. Like, it's interesting to know your heritage and your background. Like, don't get me wrong, but I also believe it's stored in a database somewhere. Like in typical conspiracy theory style and everything. But that it's kind of stored somewhere, and I believe a huge part that they're storing is like that junk DNA, like a lot of people, that's not yet discovered or not really disclosed to the public. I don't know. It's just like a really interesting topic in general. But no, I mean, I agree with you, like, because I also just started tapping into it very recently, like more in the sense of channeling things on it, not necessarily working with it yet. like you do, but it's interesting for sure that we don't really have a lot of information on that. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but it's really interesting for sure.
So, so that pretty much summarizes your healing sessions, and I know there's like so much more on that too. Did you ever do anything like Reiki or like any traditional ones, or did you literally just start with us after the encounter you had?
Yeah, no, actually, at the beginning of 2017, I moved to Las Vegas, which now I'm back here now. And that is when I really went through my like huge spiritual awakening, and I went through my whole Reiki mastership when I lived in Vegas the first time. So I did start with Reiki. And then from there, when I moved to LA, everybody was a Reiki master. And so I realized I have to develop my own unique healing modality. What do I have that other people don't have? And I didn't really feel like Reiki fit me anyways, because I'm by no means a traditional person. I'm constantly advancing and changing and growing and shifting. And I needed to create a modality that expressed that we are always changing and evolving. It's not just going back to these ancient traditional ways, but something that also advances with us. And my modality is always changing just as much as I am. And every single person that I work on is completely different. And sometimes I'm drawn to do completely different things that I've never done before. And so that's kind of how I came up with multidimensional healing, because I wanted to also incorporate all dimensions, not just one. But I work with many, many, many different interdimensional beings from all dimensions. And so I just wanted to have something that expressed that, because we are also multidimensional.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That makes sense. It's so funny that LA, you were like, everyone does Reiki in LA. It's so funny because here in New York, I feel a lot of people do Reiki too. I just kind of feel maybe there's a different community vibe in LA. I don't know. I feel maybe people don't really talk about it here as they do in LA. No idea. I haven't.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like a status thing in LA. I found myself like when I would introduce myself or get into a conscious conversation with someone and maybe like give them a business card or something, it seemed like every single person that I was meeting was like, "Oh, I'm a Reiki master," and I'm like, "Okay, like me too." But it seems like people definitely use that as like an ego thing, you know?
Yeah, interesting, because it's not like that here at all. Like people wouldn't just casually let that flow in a convo unless they're in a very safe environment, I feel. I don't know. That's really interesting. I didn't know that about LA, but I haven't been there in like 10 years, so I know a lot of things change. I don't really vibe with it either, so it's not surprising I haven't been get back. I like San Francisco a lot. I have to say that. I like San Diego and San Francisco a lot. LA, when I was there, just wasn't really my flow. I don't know. Maybe it changed. But I mean, I know you like it, so you know.
Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. I've just been really fortunate in meeting really amazing people. That's where my whole soul family is, and just like I have a lot of starseed friends there that are really, really just like the best friends I could ever ask for. But I know like a lot of people who live in LA are like, everybody's fake, this sucks. But I've never had that experience there.
Are you friends with actors or like the Hollywood industry?
I mean, I was doing TV and film full time as like my job for a little while, but I wouldn't say I'm like super close friends with like famous people or anything. I did date a kind of famous musician once, but that's pretty much it.
Okay, gotcha. So you can definitely just be away from that too in LA. That's good to know. So there were a few more questions I had here. So you were talking about basically the dream encounter your clients had, but when people check out your YouTube channel, which I'm also going to post below, no worries guys, you are talking, and that's kind of how I think I even started following you like years ago on Instagram. It's kind of how your stories like started, right? You were showing a lot. You were showcasing a lot of your encounters, or like featuring a lot of your encounters. Do you want to share like one or two in particular? Because I think those stories are really interesting.
Yeah, sure. So I originally started that YouTube channel just because I had so many experiences that I could not keep track of them anymore. And I was like, I need to record this somewhere so that I can remember what happened. And so I had originally started making those videos for myself so that I could remember all of my amazing experiences. And if other people were to see them, then I could help them feel like they're not crazy. And I've experienced something similar or even crazier than they've experienced. And I don't know, I want to help people feel comfortable with extraterrestrial contact and feel like they're not alone in experiencing those types of things. But yeah, let me think. What can I share? What's a good story?
Actually, I want to ask you something before that. So you were talking about the Zetas being from Arcturus or somehow associated with Arcturus, but I know me and also a few other channelers, like I'm of the opinion they're from Sirius, Sirius star B, actually, which is part of the entire Orion group. You know, Orion is huge and all of that. Were yours like gray or were they blue?
Wait, was what gray or blue?
The Zetas.
Like their skin? They were white.
Okay. Interesting. I'm wondering why you got Arcturus. That's something new to me.
Yeah, well, I had asked my twin flame, Ben, where he is, and I don't believe that they actually live on that planet or whatever. I actually think that they travel all over to many different star systems, but for Ben in particular, that's where his job is. He works with the Arcturian High Council on the hybridization program, and that's where his ship is stationed.
Okay, so he didn't say that he's from there, he works there. That actually makes sense, to be honest. Because they do, you know, they have like they're basically known as the travelers, like the explorers, like traveling through galaxies and all that. I don't know. That's interesting. Why don't you just do you want to discuss Ben? Maybe, I don't know.
Sure. I would love to. I actually just did a BuzzFeed video where they wanted me to do a whole episode on like mine and Ben's relationship, but it hasn't come out yet. So,
Well, you don't have to talk about the relationship, but maybe you know, you don't have to disclose information you disclose to them if you can't do that, if you have a contract with them or anything. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to discuss the same stuff. Like, you know, I'm not going to take that away from them.
no, it's cool. I think that relationship is actually very interesting, and I think a lot of other people find it very interesting as well. So, yeah. Long story. I'll try and shorten it. So, these beings that we had met in the woods, there was 4 of them, but I was drawn to one of them more than the rest, and he was the tallest one out of the 4. I knew it was a more masculine energy, and I was like, I don't know why I feel a really strong connection to that one. Like, who is he? What's my connection to him? So I had just sent out a telepathic message. I want to know who you are. And around the same time, I had been researching all this twin flame stuff because that was like the first time that I was hearing about it. And then so also I was sending out the telepathic message to the universe at the same time. I want to know who my twin flame is. And in December, I got in a horrible car accident. I definitely should have died. My car was completely crumpled up like a tin can, but somehow I didn't. And not only that, but I was totally fine. I just had like some minor bruises. But the next week was when I started to have memories, just very, very vague memories of, I feel like I went on vacation last week. Why do I feel like that? What happened last week? And then I would like look at my calendar on my phone and be like, oh, I was in a car accident last week. That's weird. But I swore that I went somewhere for 3 days. And as the days went on, more information kind of like came back to me. And I had remembered that during the time of impact, I was actually not in the car when it happened. This being had actually pulled me out of the car and saved my life. And I went on this ship and hung out with him for 3 days. But on Earth time, it was really only like 30 minutes. And then I was put back in the car in the passenger seat. And I woke up and I didn't know what happened. I didn't know I was in a car accident. I had no idea what was going on. I was just really confused. And then some guy came and opened my door and like called an ambulance and stuff. And I was like, I'm fine. Like, I'm totally fine. I didn't even know that I got in a car accident. And so I thought that was really strange. And then as the days went on, I had more memories come back of like who this being was. And a name came to me, and that name was Benishar. And they had showed me, or he had, or spirit guides or whoever had showed me that this actually was my twin flame. And then I started to develop telepathic communication with him, where I was able to start asking him more questions and start to have an actual relationship with him. And we still keep in constant contact.
Okay, and what does he look like?
Well, exactly what I said before. He's one of these Zeta Greys, so he is 9'8" and very slender. I call him Slender Man sometimes because he literally looks like Slender Man. And he has these bigger, maybe not like huge eyes, but maybe like twice the size of like human eyes that are like slanted and black, very, very thin nose, thin mouth, and like no body hair at all, and pale white, almost transparent, very soft skin.
So, because age is not really a thing with e.t.s, you don't know how old he is, right?
I actually asked him this for the first time like a week ago, and he said 123. Or he would be in human years.
123? 123?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice. I wrote a few things down here. So first of all, what year was that? I don't think I caught that, or maybe you mentioned it, I didn't catch it.
The car accident?
Yeah.
That was also 2016. It was in December, so just a couple months after that first experience.
Oh, wow. So it really happened all at once, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, it's so funny because, I just did like a huge live on like spiritual teachers and all of that. And I mentioned a person, I think you're familiar with her too. Not going to mention her now, but she had channeled in 2017 that my twin flame is also an alien. Yeah, but that wasn't true. So I think what she had channeled was, she even channeled a name, and it was like, I think it looked like an angel. It definitely wasn't like a Zeta Gray or anything. But, it ended up not being true or whatever, because then I actually met my real twin flame in 2018, who is a normal person here on Earth. And so it kind of makes me wonder, do you believe you have more than one twin flame and you'll also meet a twin flame here on Earth, or you just don't think that at all?
Well, my twin flame experience has been very, very unique and unusual, because first I met Ben, and then I had also, and this is all in detail on my channel, but I had also met the 3D version of him, who was actually a walk-in for a short amount of time for me to go through that twin flame experience in this dimension. And that was a trip and a half. So, the normal twin flame relationship that everybody kind of goes through. And it usually, from what I've seen with all of my friends who have gone through it, it always ends pretty badly. And it's all about coming back to yourself. And so I went through the whole thing just the same as everybody else experienced. And then at some point, the walk-in had actually left and gone back into 5D, where I was able to connect with him in that way telepathically again. It was super strange.
That is a really unusual experience, and I don't think that's the case with my twin flame at all. So I know he's not a walk-in. But just to get back to the entire, what you're describing as bad experience and everything, I think a lot of even your friends are probably going to come back into union with their twin flames within the next 4 years or so. At least that's what I've channeled. And the reason for that is very crucial, because I don't know if you heard about this concept, but another, don't think she's a channeler, but she's like a spiritual person who's also quite young, actually. I think she's in her early 20s. I talked about it with her a few days ago, and she's like, I had never heard of this term before. There are indigo children, crystal children, and then there's something called golden children. And these golden children are pretty much the ones that are coming in now, over the next few years. And so why twin flames are coming back into union, a very crucial part of that mission is having these golden children. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And these children are like nothing else ever before, and I still have to really tap into that. I talked about it with a human design person too. Human design has to do with astrology, but it's way more, I don't want to say advanced, it's just way more up there. Like she channeled some really interesting stuff for me. And so human design is based on this philosophy that someone channeled in 1781. So 1881, which is like 40 years ago, I don't even know, almost 240 years ago, that in 2027 and beyond, these very special children would enter. And then, I asked her, I was like, do you think they can also enter earlier? And, she said no, because what she was taught was 2027. But then the more I'm thinking about it and the more I'm talking to people who are having children now, those are already those golden children. And so the twin flame journey and everything, it has been quite complicated up until recently, because I know a lot of people who, they married like after a very short time, they had whatever they had needed to have, like their partnership, their child, their dog together or whatever, their relationship together, and then couldn't work it out anymore, and then they separated. And these are also like spiritual people. These aren't like, normal people who don't have an awareness of their spiritual journey. So it's double frustrating, obviously, when you're supposed to be together and you can't make it work, so you have to separate. But all of those are actually, it's really coming full circle right now within the next 4 years, which is why twin flames are really predominant right now, like working through that, all of that. And there are different varieties of twin flames. There are the ones that have a lot of karma with each other, and those are usually the ones where it breaks apart quite easily again. Breaking apart, coming together, all of that. But then there are also the ones that are in separation, and they're going to come in union, and that they're probably going to stay in union. So there are like different varieties of these. So I'm just wondering, because you say your twin flame, is Ben, if that's ever going to happen with you, but I guess you haven't channeled anything on that.
Yeah, that is super interesting. I'll definitely have to ask about that.
Yeah, I'm really wondering, because if you already said there was like a walk-in experience, maybe something like that is going to happen again, just for like the people who do think their twin flame is an alien, like the viewers or whatever. Because I do think there are quite a few people.
Yeah, well, he had told me a while back, because I was upset for a long time after that breakup or whatever. And I've been asking him, like, are we ever going to be together again? And I just kind of like assumed it'll just be like when I go back or whatever. But he had said something about the year 2023, us being together. So I don't know how that's going to happen, if it is going to be another walk-in or something like that. I'll just have to see.
Well, that would actually fit that time frame of 4 years that I've channeled, the 2020 to 2024. So that's really interesting. And so I noticed you're wearing Moldavite, which I love Moldavite. And when I first started wearing it, it was really ungrounding to me. Have you ever experienced something like that, or were you really vibing with Moldavite from the beginning?
No, it took me a long time to be able to wear it. It was so intense. Oh my God, I felt super ungrounded all the time. But yeah, it definitely takes some getting used to for an energy sensitive person.
I know, because for me it was like, I could barely even touch it because my hand chakras are wide open because I do the Reiki too. I'm special. I'm just kidding. LA standards here. But yeah, no, because I was really wondering about that, because you post a lot with your Moldavites on your neck, and I don't really wear it anymore. I mean, I do wear it occasionally, but it's too intense for me. I like Labradorite and other things.
Yeah, now that I've gotten used to it, I don't want to take it off, because then I'm going to have to get used to it again.
I know what you mean. It really raises your vibration, and once you're up there and then you put it off for a few days and you try it on again, it's really intense. Yeah. So we're already like 45-ish minutes in here, and I just to like kind of not wrap it up, but just to like make this a good interview. Did you want to add anything in regards to your healings? Because I know you have a program coming up right now too, and I know you're promoting that on your channel. Maybe you can give us more info on that.
Yeah, sure. So I have put together this Starseed mentorship program, which I am super excited about, because I know for me, when I was awakening and going through that whole process, it's very confusing. It's very difficult to know where to get your information and feel like you're an outcast. Maybe you don't have anybody to talk to about it. You're afraid people are going to think you're crazy. And so I actually had a mentor who kind of helped me a little bit when I first started to awaken, and kind of was there to give me support and answers and reassure me that what I'm experiencing is real. And I created this program so that I can be that for other people who are going through the same thing, who are just starting to awaken, just coming into their psychic abilities, are starting to have paranormal experiences and be sensitive to energies and everything like that. So I went ahead and got certified as a life coach, and the program consists of multiple guided meditations, as well as DNA activation sessions, and phone calls with me where we can talk about what's coming up for you, and kind of go through a step-by-step process of why these emotions are coming up, what they're connected to, how to heal your trauma and things like that, and just to be that support for somebody else. So, yeah.
So it's like a mentorship, or yeah. And is it in a group setting or individually?
It's all individually. So what I'm working on right now is I'm going to have two options. One where you can just buy the program and do it at your own pace, or I just have a bunch of videos with information that you can listen to, and the guided meditations and sound healing and articles and things like that. And then the other option is where you get me personally as a mentor, where we get to have phone calls and video chats, and I will personally do the activations for you.
Oh, that's so cool. Do the activations happen otherwise through the videos, or how do they work?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be creating activation videos, which is exciting to me because this is already kind of a project that I wanted to work on. Like, I just started working on music as well. And so I'm going to kind of incorporate like music and sound healing and different like hertz frequencies, as well as light language, and pretty much everything that I do in a session already. It's just going to be in a video that people can watch and listen to and get activated from that.
Really cool. And I know you have the right equipment for the sound healing too, because I think you posted something on your Instagram and it sounded really good.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it sounded really nice. But I think you record that in LA, right? Not Vegas?
Yeah, so in my LA place, we have a music studio in our place, so yeah.
Nice. So just to come to the end, do you want to mention your social media links, like your website where people can find you, where they can sign up for this program or a session with you, and then also your Instagram and whatever else? I don't know if you have Facebook or whatever. Maybe just mention that.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to learn more or book a session with me and see my full list of services, it's going to be princessofpleiades.com, and also follow me on Instagram at princessofpleiades.
And I'll definitely put those links below. No worries, guys. And then also a question for you. So why do you call yourself Princess of Pleiades, but your name is Lyra? Because so you have the Pleiades. Yeah.
Yeah, so when all of this started happening years ago in 2016, and I was talking to my friends about it, my friends would actually go out with me and they would see UFOs too. And it was happening so often that it just seemed like they were everywhere that I was. And so my friends started calling me the alien princess. And when I found out that my soul originates from the Pleiades star system, Princess of Pleiades just fit perfectly.
Okay, is your real first name Lyra, or is that like an artist name?
No, so my soul name is actually Lyris, and my Pleiadian family's nickname for me is Lyra Rae, and I just kind of split that up to Lyra Rae.
Okay, so you think you also have those Lyran roots? from Lyra. What about Andromeda? No.
I'm sure I've incarnated in many different star systems.
Okay. No, because when I channeled on the Lyrans, I channeled that Pleiadians, Lyrans, and Andromedans have that special connection, which I have to discover yet. For some reason, they're way more connected than, for example, the Syrians and the Pleiadians, if that makes sense. So you telling me about the Arcturians and Syrians being connected, like Syrians working on around Arcturus, kind of makes sense to me, actually, because I feel there's a stronger connection between them than, let's just say, the Pleiadians and the Arcturians. I don't know. It's really interesting stuff. It kind of gets, like, deeper and everything. But yeah, so I'll definitely put those social media links below, and I don't think I have any more notes here, just looking at them. Is there anything else you want to add, or?
That I can think of.
Okay, that's fine. So this was my weekly interview. Actually, this is going to be aired during the week. It's a special episode because it explains a lot about ET contact and starseed origins, and I find it very fitting for nowadays. But so this is an episode from bringing heaven onto earth, spiritual people in real life, or in Vegas and LA. I guess that's the real life, I'm not sure. And this was featuring Lyra Rae from Princess of Pleiades. She has a new program out right now, which is really tapping into your starseed origins and all of the good stuff. Thank you so much for your medicine and for connecting with me today. And yeah, thanks for finally, just having this interview, because actually both of us share the same birthday, which I'm not going to mention because then my followers would definitely want my social security number and everything. I already gave away a lot of my personal info. But thank you so much for connecting, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I know it's like a 3-hour time difference over there, or 2 hours, I'm not even sure, but yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. It was so great to finally connect with you.
Yeah, for sure. So have a beautiful day, and until next time.